The two things I want to overemphasize is each one of the young people who are here today, every single one of the people who are here today, you have to start thinking in terms of certain dreams, certain wishes, certain goals, whether it's career objectives. I want to be a doctor, I want to be a lawyer, I want to be a businessman. The critical issue that all of us must leave here today is the total belief, absolute belief, that through hard work, determination, perseverance, you will indeed succeed. You will realize, every single one of you, in terms of where you want to go, what you want to achieve. The most successful people in the world, if you listen to their stories, they are like all of you. Poor background, humble beginnings, but with a huge amount of determination, and it has to do with hard work. So it's critically important that we leave here today with an understanding that this country, this continent, I mean, we see this all the time. I see this all the time, whether it's in New York or London or Los Angeles or China or Brazil or India, that young people like you go to university because it starts with education. And many of them start off by thinking, I either want to be an employee because I have the capacity to employ other people, and others pursue a career. But the critical thing is we've got 300 million young people on the African continent between the ages of 15 and 25. We have to give a future, create a future for every single one of them, because if those young people do not have a future, the African continent doesn't have a future. So my grandfather was an entrepreneur. He owned a shop, a business in a rural area where even today still there's no running water. My father was an entrepreneur. My father used to wake us up 5 o'clock in the morning. We would go to the Pretoria market because we had a fruit shop as well, and buy fruits and vegetables. And I used to go to Metro and later Macro, and we used to go to all of these shops, buy goods and services. So I grew up in an entrepreneurial family. But the big problem, I remember, every time when we came back from boarding school, because we went to a boarding school very, very far from home. And when we came back from boarding school, I told my father that, many of the young boys, I think I was 7 or 8, many of the young boys, when we come back from home, they tell me they went to Durban, because Durban was the place to be at that time. Umgababa, angazi manje. And they say they went on holiday or they visited their uncle. And I said, but we never go on holiday. I mean, when I come from boarding school, I have to stand behind the counter if I don't go to the market and do some of the buy, which we like because it would go outside. I have to stand behind the counter from 5 o'clock in the morning when people go to work, and then until 12 o'clock at night when they come back from work. So I said, I don't want to spend the rest of my life standing behind the counter. It was stressful. So I started looking for careers. And I thought, should I become a doctor? I didn't like the sight of blood. So I said, hey, I'll be a hopeless. And that's how I ended up with law and became very passionate about law. But also you must understand, we were a different generation.
100%.
We were a generation where, my wife and I had to get permission from government to go to Wits University, because during those days, black people were not allowed to go to what was a white university. So we had to write and ask for permission. And she went to medical school, I went to Wits. But of course, before that, I went to what was Swaziland then, which is now called Eswatini. And it was a very exciting learning period. And I enjoyed law, but I always knew that entrepreneurship, starting businesses, building businesses, getting partnerships. And the issue that I also learned is, two things. At a young age, I was told the customer is always right. The customer is always right. So I would stand behind the counter and somebody would say, I want Coca-Cola. And I would say to them, why don't you have Pepsi? No, I want Coca-Cola. Now, they tasted the same for me, but it taught me that follow the desires, the preferences of the customers. And what is more important is, and also focus on profitability, critically important. What we do through the Motsepe Foundation is part of the duty we have as a family. We are what we are as a family because of thousands and thousands of people and millions of people of this country, but many who believed in us, who supported us. And there were times when, when I went to America to work in America, I was amazed because there were people in the firm I practiced with who said, but we think you've got special qualities. And I looked behind me to see who are they talking about, And they said, no, but you've got potential, you are bright, and the firm I was with. So all of us must continue to give every single young person in this country, give them a sense of confidence, a sense of self-belief, a sense of hope. Absolutely. And I've got no doubt that many of these young people will be amongst the most successful entrepreneurs, and those who want to pursue careers will be amongst the most successful careers that this country and this continent has ever seen. Yeah. When I started my businesses, we bought mines that everybody said, but how can this guy buy mines that are unprofitable, that are marginal, that are old, that are being closed? And the president of the mine workers, they had about 350,000 workers at the time. He was a very good friend. He then went and in the newspapers, the headline of the newspapers, I know because Precious showed me, the headline of the papers were, Patrice Motsepe buys dead dogs. Dead dogs. And but we knew what we were doing. We knew that we had a method of running this business at the heart of which was a partnership with the workers. And we could not pay them what the big mining companies were paying them. We were paying them a little bit less, but we guarantee them, assure them, that based on profitability, they would share in the profits and they would make more money than what they earned previously. So in conclusion, there are times when you are trying to start a business or pursue a career and you are starting it and it's failing. Or not only is it failing, many people around you and people who care for you say, but this thing is going nowhere. You shouldn't do that. Because others tried it and it didn't succeed. My message is keep looking at it, persevere, because the world is full of exceptionally successful people who, despite problems and difficulties and failures, kept at it and succeeded over time. So I'm absolutely confident that keep hope alive, be optimistic, stay positive, believe in yourself, and believe in the capacity of what you are pursuing and the potential for what you're pursuing to succeed. You've got to move from thinking and planning and preparing to starting, to implementing, to making things happen. And don't get discouraged if you fail. I've had so many failures in my life and have made so many mistakes. And I always pray that I don't make the same mistake again, because hopefully when you make a mistake, you want to learn from that mistake. But the key issues, and I know that I'm going to make many, many other mistakes in future, but that should never discourage you. Right. You've got to have a sense of self-belief and self-confidence, and just open that restaurant, start that app, start that grocery store, start that agricultural business you want to start with and get going. You want to start a new business and they'll say to you, it will not succeed. Because there's so much competition, there are companies that have been there longer than you, more money, more infrastructure, and more resources. But if you look at the most successful entrepreneurs, but also the most successful professionals, whether it's doctors, lawyers, scientists, engineers, teachers, nurses. The common factor is determination to work hard, to sacrifice, and to pursue the fulfillment of their dreams. Without a doubt, we have to live a good life. That's very important. And part of a good life is we've got to earn good money. And the key to working good money, or earning good money, when you are young, starts with education.
Right.
I remember when I was a student, during the year when everybody else was studying, I was at times going to parties. Not very smart, because you should be studying. And when the exam comes, a few months before the exam, when those who've been working are sleeping, I would be up at night because I've got to catch up. So the key issue is that every one of us here today, every one of our young people, the most important thing for now and where you are now is get an education and study. The most important thing is to be happy at what you're doing. There are many. I'll give you an example. There's a professor who studied with me at university. Lots of integrity, good person, very loyal and hardworking. And 5 years after I started African Rainbow Minerals, I went to him and I said, "How much do you earn?" And he said to me, "I'm earning $7,000 a month." I said, "Whoa. How are you doing with the $7,000? He said, I would like more money, but the 7,000 is what I earn. I said to him, "I will pay you $14,000 a month. And in fact, I said, I'll pay you $20,000 a month. Come and work with me." Well, let me tell you what is even more important. And he said to me, I want you to keep our conversation just between the two of us. What he taught me, he said to me, "Patrice, I've been a lecturer for the last 20 years. And I see these students who come to this university, some very average, some uninspired, some don't know, their parents force them to come to university. And I work hard to make them special students, excellent students." He said the joy I get and the fulfillment I get from seeing a student who was undirected, no ambition, no hunger, at the end of the year, very committed, hardworking, enthusiastic about the future, gives me so much fulfillment, more fulfillment than the money I could get for the more money.
Right.